While room for spending may be limited, they are expected to perhaps talk more about boosting capex across segments like infrastructure, which also will help to, whether it's infra, construction, roads, railway, also help to create employment and really get the economy going. Is that really what you're looking at in terms of where we may see a fillip, post the budget?
Yeah, so, I mean, actually expectations are probably high. I mean, the last budget was very good. So, if she can just carry on from where she left off, that would be good news too. But I think it's right. I mean, urban consumption has been increasing, but rural consumption hasn't. So obviously that's where I can see the government kind of focusing their attention, particularly as you've got some elections straight after the budget, local elections coming as well. So I can imagine that there'll be certain amount of stops towards generating consumption across the rural economy. So that's good news. I think the problem the government might face in terms of capex spending, which hasn't been as great as we would have hoped. It's obviously with bond yields and interest rates rising around the world, and obviously we would expect rates to rise here. That just increases the interest cost for the government. So it will put a little bit of a dampener. But maybe if they can just kickstart the economy a little bit more, get the animal instincts going of the private companies to get their capex going, then that would have a multiplier effect across many different industries, particularly those supplying materials and so forth. And I think the other areas which they've been working on and done a very good job is obviously on manufacturing. Maybe there can be some more incentives there for manufacturing in different industries and digitization. I mean, this whole digital kind of growth that India will see, maybe there'll be more focus towards that to continue for that to grow. So those are kind of basic things. I mean, obviously, listen, I've been saying for years now, we always want reduction in taxes, whether it's stock market taxes or personal taxes. If it came, it would be great for the market, but expectations are very low for that.
That seems to be the general consensus on taxes. Nilesh, what about you? Of course, the laundry list is very long in terms of sectors, particularly bruised sectors like services, travel, hospitality, that may, of course, want some kind of sops or acknowledgement from the government. But very often, some of that isn't always addressed in this one document. What's your biggest expectation from the budget this time around?
Well, honestly, I would probably kind of look at this budget as basically being a continuation of where the finance minister had left off during the last budget, and I think during the last budget was way more growth oriented, and clearly I think the economy has done relatively well over the course of last 1 year. Clearly on the tax collection front, especially the GST side, there has been a huge amount of positive surprise. So to that extent, I think there will be a very high level of cushion to kind of plow that capital or the collections back into the economy. So I clearly believe that this budget would essentially be a reflection of what the finance minister, the Prime Minister said yesterday, that this is probably the best time to invest into India. And therefore, how do we further improve the investment climate in India? And I think the budget is probably the best platform to kind of continue to build on to that aspiration which the Prime Minister shared yesterday, and I clearly believe that's the way forward. In addition to the investment side, the capex side, I think two powerful things which will be running through this budget, or which could potentially run through this budget, is basically increased digitization, which means that how does India increasingly digitize itself at a much faster pace. I clearly believe that's essentially one of the sources of growth. And that's the way of how we could make our growth a lot more inclusive. And second is decarbonization. That to me is going to be the second biggest factor, the second biggest theme which is going to be there in the budget. So I think it's going to be a combination of investment, growth, digitization and decarbonization. These four to me are going to be the pillars of the budget.